welcome back. So last time we had just finished installing Laravel with Inertia.js and Jetstream on our local machine. We're linked up to our database and now we can actually start doing some fun stuff. So to get you going, I want to just create an account. So create yourself a little account and let's just see what we come across. And we then want to create a page in our backend. So we just want to get into it and create a page. So I'm going to create an account. We are going to get asked to, oh, that's handy, verify our email address, but I'm going to show you how to bypass that. So register. So we're going to get a little, oh, we didn't. So that's interesting because we did get asked when we were setting up if we wanted to have email verification. And I wonder if I just didn't check that or if it hasn't done it properly. And my instinct is I didn't check it. So if we come down to a file somewhere, config, and we want to see Jetstream, I think it's either Jetstream or Fortify. I'm just going to make this smaller and we have a look down, scroll down, and you're going to see features. And I'm in the wrong one. So let's have a look at Fortify instead. Fortify. Email verification. So something has happened and I wonder if it's because our user model. So that's interesting. Just because this is quite confusing and I don't want to cause confusion. Yeah, that's why. So you'll see here, this is commented out. I'm surprised that happened. Laravel might sort that out, to be honest with you, because I don't think that's correct. So if we just say implements, paste that in. And now if we save that and refresh that, we should, yeah, okay, should block us. So that basically ensures that we can only see pages once we have verified our email address. Now we haven't set up emails or any of that. So we're actually just going to turn this off for now because we're going to get to that later. So what I'm going to do is comment that back out, get rid of that. So you didn't need to add that in the first place, but I'm just going to show you how you would turn that off. So go back to that Fortify in the config, fortify.php, and you just want to comment that out. So that's how you turn off features, all right? You just comment them out. So now if we refresh that, we won't get bothered by that anymore. If we go to the dashboard, we can get back to it. So yeah, that was a bit of a sidetrack. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're just going to create a page. So we're going to create our first page and it's going to be a course creation page. We're not going to do any CRUD functionality just yet. If that means nothing to you, it will in the next video. That stands for create, read, update, delete. So basically inserting stuff into the database, changing it, deleting it, blah, blah, blah. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to create a new page just so you can see how that works. So the files involved and what we need to do. So I'm going to just tidy this up a bit because we've got a lot going on here. All right, let's just declutter. We're going to keep Laravel open because that's always useful. And that is that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a new menu item here. We're going to make it so you can click it and it takes you to the new page and displays a new page. So let's get a new terminal because we're going to start running a couple of commands that do a lot of the work for us. So this might be overwhelming, but just come into this with an open mind. All right, open mind. So we're going to run this command and then I'm going to tell you what that's done and why it's done it. So we're going to say PHP artisan make model. Okay, bear with me. We're then going to say dash and we're going to say M. That stands for migration. Again, that's a new word. We're going to do C. That stands for controller. A new word. Going to make sense in a minute. We're going to run that. And what's going to happen is it's going to ask us for a name. And we're going to call this course. C-O-U-R-S-E. And it's the way it's done is you do it with a capital letter to start it. That's just one of those things. Okay, don't ask me why. It's just kind of the structure of it. Okay, and run that. And what's going to happen is you're going to see we've created a model called course.php, a migration called that, and a controller called course controller. And if we come up to here, you're going to see these folders, and you see models, and you're going to see course, and it's going to be a very simple file, but we can add to this down the line. Okay, very simple file, and we're not going to worry too much about that in this video, but we will in the next. So we got course, and then if we come to controllers in HTTP, we've got course controller. This controls everything, funnily enough. And we're going to be using this in this video. And then we're going to also have down here in database migrations. If I just expand this out, create courses table. So this is how we add our columns to our table, which is going to be courses table. So this is going to have all the data related to courses. So this isn't strictly speaking required for just creating a page. It's not required at all, but we needed the controller, so it made sense to run that command. So we've got those files ready for the next video when we actually start doing CRUD stuff. So hopefully that isn't too overwhelming for you, but at the moment, if you ran that command, you're going to at least have this controller here, and this is where we're going to start doing some stuff. So we're not going to worry about this just now. We're going to leave that open, but the first thing we want to do is come down to resources. So this is a very important folder. This is going to have all of our front end files. So this is going to have all of the Vue.js files that are displayed on our front end. So if we have a look here, and when I say front end, I don't mean stuff that's not behind authentication and backend being stuff that is behind authentication or admin. When I talk about backend and front end, what I mean is backend is stuff on the server, so the Laravel stuff, and front end is stuff on the client in the browser, which is the Vue.js stuff. So look, pages. This is what I mean when I say front end, because I know people use those terms for different things. It can mean like admin and customer facing stuff. I'm talking about the Vue.js files being front end and the Laravel PHP files being back end. So hopefully you're with me. Any questions, by the way, do let me know, because I'm happy to help. So you can see we have these files here already. So this is the dashboard, and if we have a look, this is our dashboard. So you can see it corresponds to that. But there's a very important file. And you know what? You can see this is all the same color. This is because I'm going to install this. See here, Vue official. Let's install this because it's going to make everything look 10 times easier to understand. And the reason I haven't already got it installed is because I'm doing this on a brand new user account on my computer. And the reason for that is because there's going to be things that I would gloss over if I was doing this on my existing account. So this, for example, being one of them. So that's now installed, and now you can see it's way more easier to understand. You can see the classes, and you can see the attributes are different colors, and it makes more sense. So I'm like blabbering on, and I hope it's not making it confusing for you. So this corresponds to the front end. So just so you can see what's going on, I'm going to make a slight change. So this is what our dashboard looks like. We can see the title there. So let's just make a change. Let's just put some text in here. And look down here what happens when I save this file. Just look, I'm gonna press save now. And it's updated. And now it's automatically updated. So we don't need to refresh the page or anything like that. So that's that. And now we're gonna basically create our new page, and we're going to link to that page. So first thing I want to do is go to layouts. Let's get rid of that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Go to layouts and have a look at that app layout. So you can create multiple layouts, but this is the default one that comes with Laravel Jetstream. So we're just going to make use of it. And if you scroll down, and just so you can understand this, this is just a component. Just because it's in layouts folder and it's called app layout, this is a component. So you're just going to import this into any Vue.js file and use it as a component. All right, don't get confused because it's called layout. It's just a component. So we're going to add a new link here. So this basically corresponds to this. This is the layout for this page. So we've got this, just refresh that. We've got that, and you'll see all this stuff in the layout. But what we're going to do is just add a new menu item. So we're just going to simply copy that one and paste it, and we're going to call this courses. And you can see this is a special method here, root courses. This refers to a route which we're going to create in a second as well. So this doesn't yet exist. So just for now, all you need to worry about is putting your link here, which doesn't yet exist. And we're going to need to do this twice because this is navigation links on desktop, and then there's going to be a mobile one. So if we keep scrolling down, keep scrolling, we're going to get to mobile one, so responsive nav link. So we're just going to do exactly the same. It's very easy to forget that and just do one of them, or just do the mobile one, and then you're like, why is it not updated? But that's why. COURSES. And now if we save that, we're going to get an error because this route does not exist yet. So let's save that and refresh that, and we should get an error. That's probably why we've got this white screen. If we just inspect and go to, this is a very weird way of having it. Again, this is because this layout is not familiar to me. This is because I'm in a brand new environment on my laptop. So Ziggy error, root courses is not in the root list. That's exactly what we expected. So now, if we can close that, all we need to remember, is that we've called our root courses. So close that, and let's just tidy this up a little bit so we can see what we're doing. And now we come down to roots here, and there's going to be another file, very important, web.php. So this is going to have our roots for web. So what we can basically do is just copy this here. So this is a root. We're going to copy it. I'm going to put a little note above it, a little comment, and say courses. And now we paste that, and we're just going to tidy up. We're going to make it a little bit more readable. This is just a preference thing, but I prefer to have it in a line like this. And we're going to explain what all of these little sections mean shortly. But for now, all you need to know is we're just copying that, and we're going to change it so that it runs our code. So we don't want a group. We want to just do our roots individually. So what, in theory, you could just put your roots, you could copy that section and put them in there, but in my experience, it gets a bit messy. So we're just going to get rid of that. In fact, let's just delete all of that. And that was the important bit we needed, the middle web bit. And I'll explain what that means in a bit. And there will be a whole video focusing on that, so don't worry too much. So we're just going to say get, because this is going to be a get request. So we're just getting the page. And we're going to say, this is going to be the path. So we say courses. This does not have to be courses. This doesn't have to equal what we've named our route. That can be anything you want. And now we want to say, we basically want to tell it to look at a method in this course controller here. So we say course controller, and if I press enter, this is going to do something very useful for us, which we'd have to manually do. Let's scroll up here. Oh, it hasn't done it. Okay, maybe I have to install that as well. But I thought that was going to include that file for us automatically. We're going to have to put it up here. We're going to have to put use courses controller. But if we just do courses controller and then we say, oh, and we say colon, and we say class, comma, and then we tell it which method we want to use. So we put index. Doesn't exist yet, doesn't exist yet. Important, doesn't exist yet, but it is going to. And then down here, we give it a name. So we do this little arrow and we say name, and we're going to say courses, semicolon, and then we come up here and we say use, and we say courses. See, now it's going to auto-complete it for us. No, it's not. Okay, I'm going to stop assuming things. Basically, if we come to our course controller, you see namespace here, just copy that. And that just basically tells it how to find this. Right, so save that. I'm sorry if I'm confusing you, but let's just summarize what we've done here. So in our layout, we have put a link with the root, and this is the root that we've just created. So it's called courses. We reference it by the name there. And when someone hits that root, it's going to go to this path, which goes to the course controller up here, and it looks for this index method, which does not yet exist, by the way. And then it basically runs that index method, and whatever is returned by that index method is what is returned to our page. So we've saved that web file. Let's refresh this and see what happens now. So we should get an error when we click that, because internal server error, because the method does not exist. Call to undefined method, course controller index. That is exactly what we want. So now if we come to our course controller, we can say public function index. And now, just to make sure it's working, we can just run a little test. So we can say dd, and you can put anything in there. So this could be an object, an array, anything, a variable, but we're just going to put a string, and we're just going to do that to make sure it's actually running this index function. So if we come back here and click courses again, we get it, test, so that's working. So that's great. But what we want to do is we want to return our Vue. So we want to point it to our Vue.js file. So what we need to do is we need to put use inertia / inertia. And then what we can do here is return an inertia file. A Vue.js file, so rendered via inertia. So if we say return inertia, just pointing at that, : render, and now we just want to put the name of our file. Now this file does not yet exist again, but we're going to create it in a second. So we're going to say courses / index / index, and that's not going to make any sense, but it's going to make sense in a second. So I'm going to save that. Let's see what we get now. We should get another error because that file does not exist. There we go. Page not found. Pages, courses, index.vue. So this is actually quite useful, this information here, because it tells us, do you know what? That's where it's going to be looking for our page. So I was obviously going to tell you this anyway, but let's go and create that page. And it's going to be in that path. So we go resources, JS, pages, and we're just going to create those folders and the file. So we say new folder, courses, new folder within courses, index, and a new file, index.vue. You might be wondering why I've got so many folders. It really is a good way of doing things. It helps you stay organized, okay? Really recommend doing it. So now let's just output something so that we know we've got something showing on our page. We need to have a script tag, script setup. We don't need to include anything in there just yet. Template, and we're just going to output something to the page. Hello. Save that. And now we should have something. There we go, hello. But what we want is we want this layout. So I'm going to just quickly show you how to do that. And what we're going to do is import app layouts, and that's just importing the layout from there. And if we have a look at that in a second, let's get rid of that. Let's just see what's in there. We can see what slots we can use. So let's have a quick look. We're going to see we've got this head component here, and that takes a title property. So look, if we look here, props title. So we just need to pass a title, and I think there's just one slot, which we come down here. Yeah, just one slot. I know it's two slots. There's a name slot and a default slot. So we've got three things we need to include in that. So if we say app layout, and then it had a title, prop, and we're going to say courses, and then we had a header slot, oh sorry, that should be a hash, and we're going to say courses, that's just going to be for the title, and then we've got our default slot, and we say this is our default slot, and that's not going to be styled very nicely because it's I haven't put any classes on it, but let's have a look what we've got. Courses, there we go. So we've created our first page. There was a lot to take in on that, so don't get too bogged down. There should be stuff that was confusing for you. There should be stuff that you're like, whoa, that makes no sense. What was middleware? What's this? What's this all about? Don't worry, because we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The best thing to do, in my opinion, is to just build stuff, just to get going, and it will kind of click. You'll be like, oh, okay, when you realize you need things. And that's what's going to happen in this course, because we're going to come across times when we're like, okay, we need to implement this, and we're going to use middleware, and then this middleware here is going to make sense, and it's all going to make sense. So in the next video, we're going to look at doing some CRUD functionality. So we're going to do some stuff with our database. We're going to add to the database, change stuff, do all that fun stuff. Okay, so see you then.